You guys, I have woken up a very happy man this morning. Mr. Todd Dreammaker Bowley is putting plans in place for transfer business for the 23-24 season, and today we discuss Christopher Nkunku, as it has been revealed that he has completed a secret medical over a proposed move for the following season. In today's video, I'm going to break down what this deal means. I'm going to break down the news, and I'm going to discuss whether Nkunku is the right attacking option to finally take our attack to the next level. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you're happy with the signing of Nkunku, I need to see that in the like button, and I need to see that in the comment section as well too, my friends. And getting straight into the video. Now, this past 12 hours has been absolutely mad. We've got no leaks or rumors or suggestions that we were in the running actually to be closing in on a deal to sign Nkunku. And for me, I'm loving the fact that with our news currently, it's equal parts transparency and equal parts secrecy. Let's not forget that transparency was the main factor that killed that deal to sign Christopher Nkunku as our new sporting director. It alerted the attention of RB Salzburg. They weren't too happy and they deaded that deal and stopped us signing him. But at the same time, we are also operating with secrecy. We saw a glimpse of this during the final moments of the summer transfer window, where the news came out from nowhere that we had made a massive last-minute bid to sign Gvardiol. So I'm just loving the fact that we are maintaining the same energy, and you guys know how happy and excited I am. You guys have been watching me for a long time. You know that I've been praising Christopher Nkunku since day one. He's been one of the main signings I hope we could get secured and to bring here to this football club. Before I get too gassed and carried away, let's actually break down the news and reports first to understand how we've got to this situation. Now, the story was first broken by Build, and they reported that Nkunku completed a medical during the closing moments of the August transfer window, which is absolutely mad. Of course, he took his medical in Frankfurt. One of the main reasons as to why was to just maintain that secrecy, of course. Now, Nkunku did complete a cardiological medical check, and there was a Chelsea staff member there for the medical as well too. Now, one of the main reasons as to why we maintain that secrecy is that it was finally revealed that Nkunku actually did have a release clause inserted in that new contract extension he signed. Now, over the past few months, there were many conflicting reports coming out from Germany, even suggesting that there was no release clause set in that contract extension. Of course, with football clubs, they want to keep some of these details low-key and behind the scenes because, once you're doing that, of course, it puts you in a disadvantage. So it did seem like we were able to understand that there was one, and we worked alongside RB Leipzig, of course, to be able to get this medical done for Nkunku. It's now got me thinking I can maybe understand why we allowed Werner to sign for them for, a very relatively small amount of money. I thought we'd get a bit more money for Timo Werner, but I guess, the reality is you want to build and maintain relationships with some of these clubs that you're hoping to buy players from. And I like that we're doing that with RB Leipzig because they're one of those, I guess, feeder clubs, I'd say, that regularly supply like the best clubs with top quality players. So it's a great strategy. It makes a ton of sense, and when you consider that Nkunku's current market valuation is set at around £72 million, to be able to sign him for 54 million is literally a ridiculous bargain. Nkunku's release clause is activated in January, so this means two things. Number one, currently this is a pre-contract agreement we've reached with Nkunku because we can't actually place a bid until January, where of course that favourable release clause can then be activated. And of course the outcome of this would mean that he wouldn't sign for us in the January window, but of course would come during the 23-24 season. But to get the medical completed already, I'd assume too that we've already agreed like pre-contract agreements as well too. This is how you move and this is how you get deals done. And I guess right now it's time for me to give some of my thoughts and opinions behind this incredible news. Now, I do have to plug yesterday's News Daily video where I discussed the big news surrounding Jude Bellingham, Rafael Leao and Declan Rice, because these are major marquee targets that we're going to continue to get a regular supply of news on until we get to the January window and of course the summer window too. And I guess the question that we need to ask ourselves now is Christopher Nkunku that guy? And why has he been signed? For me, Nkunku is most definitely that guy. Since he first signed for RB Leipzig, during his first season, he recorded 5 goals and got 13 assists. Every single season, he's been exponentially improving not only as a football player, but the stats are there to also highlight and show the improvements shown. This season already, he's picked up 2 Man of the Match awards. In 11 appearances, he's got 6 goals and 1 assist, and you just know that his form is not stopping anytime soon. It's quite obvious that we are planning to replace a lot of existing attacking players at this club. You'd imagine that Pulisic, you'd imagine Ziyech, Aubameyang even, plus many more could potentially be sold over the next, 2 to 3 transfer windows. And it's only right that we find the right replacements for them. And for me, upgraded talents, of course, to help us close the gap against Man City. And in that sense, I think Nkunku's profile most definitely suits and complements what Graham Potter is trying to build at our football club. I mean, this is a player that can play all across the front three, that can play in attack, that can play as a centre forward, as a cam, and even in midfield as well too. Already this season for Leipzig, he's played on the left wing, on the right wing, as a cam, up front in a 2 and by himself as well too. But I would probably have to say, when you break down his goal scoring rate, he's got 4 goals in 5 appearances playing up front. And I do kind of feel and get the impression that we'd see Nkunku playing more up front for us under someone like Graham Potter. For me, I think one of the things that makes Nkunku such an incredible talent, and the profile that we actually need at this football club, is his ability to be that match winner. And what do I mean by this? Stats are showing that statistically he has some of the best stats when it comes to shots on target after a carry, which basically means that this is a football player that can fashion and create his own goal scoring opportunities out from nothing, of course, to change the trajectory of the game. Now for me, I need to see more profiles like this. I need to see players that don't just stick to the script 100%. And under Graham Potter, he wants to have that balance of structure as well as players taking responsibility in game. And I think this was sorely lacked under Tuchel's management. Tuchel relied too much upon automatisms. It felt like we were way too structured, way too rigid, and quite predictable in terms of how we played. And I think in the end, it was taking a toll on mostly the attacking players who had too much defensive responsibilities to really be able to express themselves and actually attack and do their jobs. Realistically, you're more likely to pick up points from your midfield players and your attacking players compared to your defensive players. And with news suggesting that Potter is experimenting by using different players as his holding 6, most likely in Trevor Chalobah, it's given me the indication that the future of our club is to be more attacking based. We're going to incorporate more box-to-box midfield players in the team, and we want to make sure that we can fully support our attacking 3 players as well too. And for me, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're more likely to pick up points from your midfield players and even more likely to pick up points from your attacking players. So to focus more on the midfield and the attack, for me, is the best trajectory in the long run. And maybe this is why reports are suggesting that Potter is experimenting by using different players as his holding 6. Because when you have a holding 6 in your team, it allows more expression. It gives more confidence to the attacking players to focus on what they do best, knowing that they have that defensive protection behind them. And when you have players like Nkunku who are versatile and effective in multiple positions, this just complements Potter's style. And that's because Potter is all about formation flexibility, and to be able to do that effectively to the highest level, you need players like Christopher Nkunku that can do multiple things in multiple areas. So right now, to end things, let's examine Nkunku even more, and I want to talk about his key strengths and some of his weaknesses so you guys can get a better understanding of what exactly he can bring to our club. Now, to start off with things, I want to talk about Potter again just very briefly, and the main thing I want to focus on is the fact that under him, it feels like he's relying a lot more on verticality in our attack. Under Thomas Tuchel, it was very horizontal. Of course, that's going to help you in terms of defending with possession, but in terms of finding the possibilities to break down a very defensive type of team, we'd get shown up time and time again. And that's because that horizontal way of playing is just way too slow to break down a compact and defensive team. But for me though, when you play more vertically, it does mean that there's more responsibility now in the attack because you can be a bit more open on the counter attack. But that is a worthwhile trade-off. But to really maximize this new vertical way of playing, you need to have top players that are able to excel playing this type of football, and Nkunku most definitely can. So now that we're looking to become a lot more vertical, this is going to definitely help Nkunku, who excels playing this style of football. Nkunku is incredibly technically gifted, and one of his best areas in this game is his ability to link up with his teammates around him. Of course, he likes to drift to the left-hand side a lot of times, which allows him to use his great 1v1 dribbling, and of course his dribbling in tight spaces and areas. I mean, The guy is two-footed in this regards. You know, he can use his left foot and right foot, and he's very hard to get off the ball because that first touch is always on point. And this means that he's comfortable playing back to goal when he has to because he has the skill set and the imagination, of course, not only maintain the ball, but also beat his man and help create spaces. I mean, the guy, for me, is the definition of technically gifted. He can use both feet in tight spaces. He has incredible 1v1 skills. He's incredibly press resistant. And you actually see this because not only is he good in spaces, but he's really good with his back behind the goal as well too, which a lot of players do struggle with. And that's because Nkunku's first touch is always on point. And when your first touch is excellent, it just gives you another yard of space in which to play with. And for me, I see him as a complete attacking package. For me, he is a goal and assist monster. He gets double digits for goals and assists. Not many players in Europe are able to do that at this point in time. You see his assist skills from his set piece delivery, which is excellent, from his set piece taking, which is also excellent as well too. He has very good weight of pass behind goal. He's one of those guys that excels in tight areas and his combination plays in particular, because he has that imagination and X factor, which makes it even harder to really tackle him and to really predict what his next move is going to be. And for me, when you look at signings like this, sometimes I think as fans, we can fall into the trap of only seeing these guys as individuals, but we have to see these signings in terms of how they can work alongside the other players we also have in the team. And for me, I think Kai Havertz in particular would most definitely benefit playing alongside an Nkunku, because Havertz isn't that guy in tight spaces. He does the quick combo plays to then make runs into space. And with Nkunku there taking the pressure off him, I'd imagine I'm going to see a lot more impactful Kai Havertz in future seasons. But to go on, I really stress that for me, I see Nkunku as that complete attacking package, because now let's talk about his finishing. He is a match winner. He is a guy that gets the 3 points on the table for RB Leipzig. He's made them competitive. You can see it in his finishing. I mean, his trademark little chips. I mean, to have that type of composure, of course, to be able to have that presence of mind to know, okay, I can do this. If it was that easy, you'd see players doing it week in, week out. That doesn't happen. He knows how to time his arrivals inside the box as well too. And as I stressed earlier, this guy can fashion and create his own goal scoring chances. He doesn't have to solely rely upon service exclusively from his teammates. And this is the type of profile that we haven't really had consistently since like Eden Hazard, in my opinion. Back in the day with your Drogbas, Lampards, etc., we had world-class guys that, you know, when you need to rely upon them, Lampard can smack it in from 25 yards and Drogba can fashion something from nothing every single time. To go to that City type of level, we need more profiles like this in our team. I think Nkunku is incredibly effective when the game is very tight and closed down, and also equally effective when the game is open and when he's making those counter-attacking runs, of course, to get on the end of moves. I think this is what makes him even more dangerous, because he can do all the things that us fans want to see an attacking player doing in game. He can score from headers, he can score from set pieces, he can score wonder goals. He can get on the end of team moves as well too. And to have a player that's equally creative as well as equally able to finish games off as well too is what separates him. Now, for his weaknesses, they're relative compared to his age. Nkunku is 24 years old. And in terms of weaknesses, he doesn't have a major flaw in his game. But what I mean by weaknesses is that he can only improve, fine-tune and master parts of his game. I'd say for me, at the moment, Nkunku is incredibly reactive. So when he doesn't have too much time to think about things, of course, like everything's instinctual, you know, everything just flows for him. He knows when to do the right things at the right time. But to go to even higher levels, I'd say that when he has space on the ball, I kind of feel like because he can do so many things at once, it's like, okay, what is the next move to do now? Do I, take this man on, or do I now release it to a teammate, or do I take a shot, etc., etc.? I think these are things that he can master. And by the time this guy's like 26 years old, 27, you're looking at a guy that could potentially be one of the best attacking players in the world. And I do think now that we have someone like Graham Potter, who has been signed not only to give structure tactically, but for his ability to take young players to the next level. He's done that time and time again at Brighton. He is at the right club now to be able to develop and go to those world-class levels. I say all these things because when he can be in wide areas of more space, this is where I tend to see maybe some indecisiveness surprisingly, but when he's in more central areas, when the game's a lot faster, you see his pure footballing ability shining through. So to end with things, you guys, my conclusion is this is some world-class piece of business to do. And he's that X-factor attacking presence that this team, in my opinion, has sorely missed. So that note, I'm the EFC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys for more videos. Cool.